Terminator is bald. Oh, okay. All right. You know, that's pretty good.
The fun place. Yes, the Blizzard bot has detected an unintended gameplay experience, and by golly, they have destroyed it.
That's right.
So this is an interesting topic. It has just came up on the patch 8.2 PTR, and this is going to...
I don't know, like, whose hair is worse, mine or his. And everybody's gonna say it's mine, right? Because you guys just love to shit talk me. But honestly, like they're both really bad. Like, I gotta message Bellular, and we gotta figure out what the hell we're gonna do, man, because time is running out.
Be a video that you can listen to. You don't need to actually watch it. I don't want to do this highly edited because there is a lore video that we're editing right now, and I don't want this bit of breaking news to take away from the content that I really care about the most, which is the lore. So what's actually happened here? Well, Blizzard have decided that if you are in a group with somebody who has got their experience disabled, then you will receive 95% less experience.
That's a lot.
So what does this mean? Well, right now, for Battle for Azeroth, people at level 110 would actually lock their characters into level 110.
Because it's more fun.
They would get Heart of Azeroth, they would get bits of Azerite gear, they would try to power those things up as much as they can. Then they would get really high Titan Forges from Antorus, as well as their legendaries and all of that stuff.
We did this.
And really
it was
good,
awesome.
like BFA gems. So essentially, they would have a fully pumped up artifact. They would have 3 legendaries from Legion. They would have the Heart of Azeroth. They would have so much power.
It was fucking awesome.
And because of that,
it was amazing.
Most classes could very quickly solo, say, Freehold or Island Expeditions. For an example, you could actually solo Freehold in, I think, like 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. And what a lot of people would do with this...
To be fair, the 5 minutes thing, I don't think you were trying to solo all of Freehold in 5 minutes. You were just trying to do, like, the most experience-efficient pulls. And no, it was absolutely insane. Like, the way that it used to work was fucking dumb, dude. I can't even believe that's even a thing. But, yeah, it used to be really, really fast. But I think they were just doing it in 5 minutes because that, you know, made sense for the instance timer. 120 boost would now be an amazing idea. Yeah, I agree.
Is they would boost people. Now, this would broadly happen in a few different ways. Way number one is somebody would make an amazing twink character and they would sell their boosting services. So they'd maybe say, hey, I'll boost you for an hour, give me 5,000 gold, and, you know, we'll go off to the races. You'll get a bunch of XP, I'll get some money. Seems all fair, right? You're just providing a service for in-game currency. That's one way that people would do it. The other way would be sometimes guilds would get that as a setup so that the guild could power level characters up through the Battle for Azeroth content.
We never really did that.
Of course, there's more things than that.
My guild never did that.
People are just going to be playing with a twinked character, and this is obviously a solution to this problem that is pretty extreme.
Yeah,
Blizzard have decided that the idea of getting experience while with a twinked character is not something that they want in the game, so they have implemented this change. But the problem is, I mean, the problems with this are actually in a lot of different areas. It's worth mentioning that this is also super...
The only real problem is that it indicates that Blizzard doesn't understand the fun. It's like it's something fun that players were doing, and Blizzard's getting rid of it for an arbitrary reason. Like, that's the implications are the problem, not necessarily the change.
Exploitable, right? Somebody with no XP turned on can go into a dungeon group through the Finder or the pre-made Finder or whatever and kind of grief people with this. And sure, yeah, you can kick them, but it's a bit of a strange, non-intuitive system, so...
What if we got, like, 3 people with the experience eliminated, and we queued up for dungeons, and then the other 2 guys were just fucked because they couldn't kick us out because they didn't have a majority. And so we just sit there, all right, hey guys, what's up, boys? Like, we're gonna run through this dungeon, we're gonna have a good time. Hey, you guys ready to level up? Yeah, I'm not, neither are you. Fuck you. Okay, let's go. And like, I don't know, I feel like this is the main thing. Is like every change that Blizzard, and then they leave and get then they leave, they get a debuff. It takes even longer, right? I mean, it's the thing is that whenever I see a change like this, I look at how can I make this worse for other players, right? And the problem is that I don't do that anymore. But I realize it, but I don't do it. There are other people that realize it and they do it. And this is going to happen all the time now. I think it's going to be fucking hilarious because Blizzard solved one problem and they created another actual problem. So now innocent players are going to have their experience reduced arbitrarily because of a system that Blizzard put in thinking that they were going to make the game better.
I mean, to me, that's not interesting because it's just so obviously a silly side effect of such a blunt solution. But yeah, I thought it was worth at least mentioning that there's this obvious downside that they seemingly haven't really thought of. And as always with Blizzard, it's like, I will agree that the core issue here is not ideal. It does feel a bit broken, and it is sort of using the game's scaling system in a way that, I mean, certainly is gaming the system.
Yeah,
right?
Of course,
so
that's
there is
the fun part
there. However, just like with a lot of the fun police things with Blizzard, I would say this. Congratulations, you've solved the problem, and you've made your game worse. Yes, it's possible to solve a problem and make your game a little bit worse. And I would say that a lot of that is because World of Warcraft, ideally speaking, is a virtual world. And I think when World of Warcraft is working best, that's when players can kind of have unintentional gameplay experiences. So just having the game's mechanics naturally turn into gameplay that players sort of invent for themselves, like this whole boosting thing.
Emergent player behavior. Can you imagine an MMO that's based off of that? Oh yeah, you don't have to. It was vanilla WoW and it was actually fun. Like now, any single time that you do anything that's outside of the fucking rails of how Blizzard wants you to play the game, they just change it. You can't do anything, dude. BFA is not an MMO. Yeah, it's a fucking casino.
I think that's a real strength in the game, and historically, whenever people talk about the fun police, I think that's what they're really talking about. So let's say the recent mount equipment. Well, in order to do the mount equipment system to fix a few problems, Blizzard actually ended up nerfing the Water Striders, making them worse, and then making a bunch of buffs mutually exclusive. So yes, they now...
I don't think they should have water walking as a mount equipment, because it doesn't make any sense. If I have a cleft hoof, like, there should be a certain point where, like, if your mount is too fucking fat, it can't walk on water. It's like you saw a picture even of, like, Jesus, right? He was a pretty thin guy. Like, he's not like this big, massive fucking dude that's the size of a cleft hoof. Like, it should be somewhere around, like, I don't know, maybe, like, one of those little hawk striders that can do water walking. And besides that, I think they should have just done the other ones. Like, why the fuck you have to do the water walking one? That was, like, the only one that I think is dumb. Like, all the other ones are fine.
Have a very cohesive
Fat
system,
shaming mounts.
but in many ways they've kind of made the game a little bit worse with that, and that's not really ideal. And if we go back to, say, Legion was a prime example of the fun police. I'd say the best one is the rock feather kite. So that was a toy that would basically just give you a goblin glider, right? Now you'd use that on top of, I forget the name of the toy, but it would boot you up in the air. So you send yourself up in the air, you use the rock feather kite, but then you use the emerald winds. And that could let you glide across half the map. Like if you went on the high mountain,
the shit was awesome.
Get to anywhere
emerald ones,
in the expansion.
Avianos
and of
is
course,
like the
this
WoD
was
one.
before flying. So Blizzard thought to themselves, that's too powerful, kill it. But the thing was, for players, that was actually a really fun system because if you were going to use that system, you started having to think about terrain. You had to get some high ground. You had to plan all of your stuff.
Yes.
And what you were doing is you were combining three supposedly unrelated items together to come up with a better effect. And that's something that players discovered and had a lot of fun with. And because that was all self-discovered, just natural systemic stuff, it made the World of Warcraft more of a sandbox. And essentially it is the quashing of that sandboxy feel that I think is the issue, really the core issue that we have here with what Blizzard have just done for
There
Twinkie,
it is.
because it essentially is
so
just
we're
an
in agreement.
unintended gameplay experience, and it really does seem like the second somebody is enjoying
unintended gameplay experience. It's like the game's being made by robots. I mean, really, you think about it. Unintended gameplay experience. Oh no, this guy's playing the game in a way that he's not supposed to. We're gonna have to suspend him. We're gonna have to change the game. We can't just have people going around and leveling up on 110s. That's gonna make us look bad. You know, I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, it's made by robots. I'm serious. Yeah, fun police. Yeah, what's that, Squidward? I don't know. I just came up with a random fucking voice and I did that. But listen, I just
enjoying the game
it's
in
disappointing.
a way that Blizzard didn't overtly design. They think of it as a problem and they try to solve it, just that in solving it, they end up making their game just a touch worse. And I think a lot of this just comes down to design mentality.
Yep.
Really, the World of Warcraft team, in my view, are not trying to make a large... I mean, I don't think they're trying to make a sandbox MMO, right? They're trying to make a theme park MMO. But I think they're so fixed to making a theme park MMO that, you know, they sit down and they think, here's our players' gear progression curve over time.
I bet they think they're making a sandbox MMO. I bet they're all sitting there in the, you know, the Blizzard think tank while they're all sitting on their beanbag chairs, sipping on their Slurpees with their pleated jeans and, you know, fucking superhero t-shirts, and they're all like 35 or whatever, and they're basically dads, and they're just like fucking agreeing with each other, like, yeah, man, dude, this game's gonna be so good. And they're like, oh, dude, let's put first in the game. Oh, yeah, dude, holy, totally, 100%, man. Like, that's what I think that it is that, yeah, pleated trousers. Yeah, they're all sitting around agreeing with each other. That's all they do is agree with each other. They probably think the game's great. They think it's a sandbox MMO, 100%. Theme park, where you win a loss of, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about that.
Here is our players', you know, available content menu. Here is their list of things that they can do on a daily and weekly basis. Here are the meta goals for their character. But that sort of design thinking has ended up not really leaving a lot of room for just kind of natural systemic banter. And when we look at Classic, actually, you know, Classic was in many ways not that designed, right? Like, they just threw a bunch of toys in the world.
That's right.
Yes, there was a theme park layout, broadly speaking, and that kind of just turned into pretty good, fun gameplay. There was a lot of unintended gameplay experiences in Classic, and I think for a lot of people, that's what gives the world its mystery and its charm. So essentially, that's what I think people mean when they say fun police, and when they talk about Blizzard kind of making these very arbitrary top-down decisions that do whack players in a way that just feels like, you know, we were doing nothing wrong. This wasn't actually damaging anyone.
What did we do to
deserve
this?
Anything, it was just providing some gameplay. So, like, why? You know, I think that's really how people feel about changes like this.
The big why.
And, you know, there are some that are a little bit more mixed up and interesting. I think the best example of that is the pre-made group finder. So back in Legion, right, you would have your automated pre-made group finder stuff for world quests, you know, world quest group finder. So you go into a world quest area, boom, button appears, you hit yes, it automatically puts you into a group, and you all, you know, clear through the world quest like 5 times faster. And that meant that people were doing a lot of world quests because you would get some pretty quick reward, and that ended up being a normal expected style of gameplay. Yet, it obviously was pretty broken, not really bad.
See, here's the thing with talking about shit like this, is that there are examples of unintended gameplay that is kind of harmful for the game. I think the World Quest Group Finder in Legion is borderline. Right? Because whenever you can just fly over there, click a button, and somebody else does the quest for you, it's like, what is this, like Uber Eats for World Quest? Give me a fucking break. And, you know, the driver never even gets tipped either. Like, what the fuck is this? So, yeah, obviously there are points where it becomes so ridiculous that, yes, obviously Blizzard needs to do something about it. And that being the case is not necessarily evidence for every single decision Blizzard makes to try to streamline gameplay in a certain direction is a good one, right? There are good decisions they do in that regard and bad ones. I would say that the World Quest Group Finder, if I had to fall off on one side of the fence or another, I would say was probably a good decision, but then if you combine that with how much longer it takes you to do World Quests and BFA, I never see anybody going around doing World Quests and BFA because they take fucking forever, you don't get anything out of them, you can't fly, high, and it's just they just take longer. I mean, as I said, it was the Dressfar one with the fucking pigs. How many pigs do we have to kill? I don't know. It just is insane. Like, so it might have stopped this behavior, but indirectly it stopped people participating in the content too. Isn't Raid Finder just that, people doing work for you? Well, yeah, and I also think that, I don't think Raid Finder is good for the game. It's fucking terrible for the game. But you know what? Blizzard disagrees. World Quest should be groupless? No, of course not. You should always be able to group with people and do stuff together. That's what the game is about.
Balanced, and yeah, people could just join a group, idle, and get completion. And if you looked at the invasion points from, from Argus, they were utterly trivialized by that system. However,
yeah, because nobody would have done it without that.
A problem there, right? This is not an intended way to play our game. We don't like it, so they decided to remove it.
Yep.
And what happened when they removed that? Well, turns out
people stopped doing
quests are actually really pretty bad quality content. And if people have to spend 4 or 5 times as long doing those world quests, they're not going to feel good about doing world quests. And if you look at Battle for Azeroth and world content, whew, it's not great, is it? Now,
it's fine. Like, the world quests are fine. Here's how Blizzard should look at world quests in one way. You should be able to, if you have good enough gear, you should be able to complete a world quest in one pull. That was always my meta in Nighthold, was that if I could go and aggro enough mobs and pull them all together and fucking AoE them all down in one pull and get it done. Like, literally, I fly down, get everything, AoE them down, complete the quest, and I go to the next one. And I felt like a fucking badass whenever I did that. That was awesome. And then now, like, after the, in the BFA ones, you can never fucking do that. Right? You draft the souls. Well, it wasn't even now. It was the Odin's Fury. Like, I think about, like, what makes me so fucking sad is that I see pictures of Legion and I get nostalgic. Of Legion. Legion. Titan Forging. Legendaries. How the fuck can I get nostalgic about that? But I am. What the fuck happened? Like, world quests were amazing in Legion. And in BFA, they're fucking terrible.
Certainly, it's good that the faction
you
incursions were a bit more, like sort of clustered together. It would almost feel like quest stacking, and they're pretty fun in war mode as long as you get some balance. And thankfully, in the next patch, well, Nazjatar is pretty in terms of world quests, but Mechagon is actually pretty well structured and a lot more freeform and sandboxy, which is what I want to see from you guys, Blizz. But that World Quest Group Finder thing is another really good example of the fun police, right? Where just the player's perspective and the developer's perspective are so different. And from the player's perspective, it just seems like the developers are deluded. Yet from their perspective, they're just fixing a problem. World Quest Group Finder, clearly not intended, clearly a bit broken and powerful.
It's too much.
But also, the devs are clearly deluded in thinking that World Quests are really good content in, current year.
Well, it's like, so you have to use 2 arguments here, right? Number one is that players will always trend towards the fastest solution with the least amount of effort. It doesn't matter if it's fun or not. They will always do it. And I use an example for this whenever I talk about the same thing as Diablo 3. Diablo 3 had a number of different things that you could do, and doing those things would obviously give you the highest experience per hour, but they were extremely repetitive and very boring. But you would do them over and over and over because that's what you needed to do to level as fast as possible. Efficiency is fun. Efficiency is fun, except for whenever efficiency is killing the blacksmith's wife 800 times an hour, and eventually you get fucking tired of it, right? And yes, obviously Blizzard should try to stop some of those things, but also at the same time, you have to look at, like, why are people trying to speed up this content so much, right? Why are people so hell-bent on not participating in this content? Maybe at a certain point, it's because the content is bad.
So that's a bit of a tricky situation. Overall, what is this change doing, though, from patch 8.2? I mean, we've just talked about philosophy and sort of, historical stuff for a bit, but we do need to talk about the next patch and what this all sort of means. And there is a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory that we could put on. And that tinfoil hat theory is that Blizzard don't want people trivializing 110 to 120. And, if they were going to do the level 120 boost, if they were going to do that in patch 8.3, you know, it would make a lot of sense to remove the thing that trivializes that section of leveling, wouldn't it? And I can't say they're doing this, and it's obviously the sort of thing that they would deny, but if you look at that recent survey that we covered in the news video, right, that survey question was, basically it was like, would you like, would you partake in a level boost that cost $40 that saved you 120 hours? So it is clear that, at least from the business analytics section of Blizzard, they view the level boost as time is money, friend. That's how they view it, right? They view it as being time is money. So if they see something that is a little bit too much and they nerf it, it does make the value proposition of a level 120 boost a little bit better.
I wonder how many people started buying boosts after they nerfed all the leveling that you were able to do, right? It's like, because like obviously you have to do it with the heirloom armor, right? Or the heritage armor. But now like you're not really able to, like after they did, what was it, the 7.35 leveling changes and they made leveling a lot slower. Like I wonder how many more people bought boosts after that. I would assume probably a lot more. And that's what I think their mentality is around, right? Structuring and creating the game in a way that reinforces purchasing microtransactions. Or, fuck that, that's a macro transaction. That's a lot of fucking money. That's a whole video game. Like, yeah, it's too much, man. Oh my god, a business making a business move. Well, what a stupid comment. What a stupid fucking comment that was. Yes, obviously, businesses want to make money. But whenever you make money by exploiting your consumers and by lowering their trust in you as a brand, you are basically selling out long-term loyalty for short-term profits. Because Blizzard has made 100 mistakes in the past, and people have forgiven them for it because they thought that Blizzard was on their side. The moment that you have different problems like that happen, we're not going to ban him, okay? He's going to learn. The moment that you have something go wrong, because you're not always going to end up, you know, on your feet. Sometimes you're going to get knocked down and you're going to make a mistake. WoD is an example of that. WoD is an example of a mistake that Blizzard made, and a lot of the player base said, you know what? You fucked up, but we're going to give you another shot. And then Legion happened. And a lot of people came back. Having that trust and that loyalty is so much more important than 1 or 2 quarterly profit margins. That's so much more important because that's how you build a 20-year customer. You don't build a 20-year customer by nerfing something and then creating something to make them pay to get through the thing that you nerfed. That's how it works. That's how you build a community. That's why BlizzCon is literally a convention celebrating the company of Blizzard. Because that used to be their mentality. Is that they focused on their community and they focused on making games for players first. So much that people would travel around the world to go to one place each year to celebrate how much they love that company. That's how much it matters. It has nothing to do with, yes, a business making business decisions. Every single decision a business makes does not necessarily have to be to make money in that exact transaction. There are a lot of things that businesses do that create goodwill that produce money down the line. Like this is just a short-term, short-sighted profit decision. And it hurts the game and it hurts the community in the long run.
Are they doing that? I don't know. They might, though.
They might be.
They certainly might. And
you're asking that because they don't have the trust.
I would be more suspect of that a while ago, but now I'm actually a lot more willing to think that there's no okay chance that's what they're doing. So a little bit of that, but also I actually do overwhelmingly think that this primarily is just the devs seeing this as unintended gameplay, seeing it as a problem, and deciding to fix the problem. Yeah. Instead of, and this is what I wish Blizzard would do, and I think this is just their design culture, their design DNA. It clearly is something like that because regardless of expansion, this is how they've operated. They don't embrace the fun. That's the problem over there. They don't embrace the fun. They can only seemingly think of fun in terms of the fun that they design. but they seemingly just are not willing to let things happen naturally and actually play along with it. Now, it could be that this whole twinking situation is not the ideal time for them to just see that something odd's happening and play along with it.
Well,
but
they have been.
Let's go back to that.
They've been doing it
rock
for
feather
months.
Kite, a Brulfist Idol, that was the toy.
Oh,
an
yeah.
Emerald Wind example, okay? They could have noticed, hang on a second, players are really enjoying this form of gliding. Because you got to remember, you had to sort of do the technique right, and then you would have to refresh your Emerald
It was
Winds
fucking annoying.
every few seconds.
Let's
while
be
you were
honest,
gliding.
fucking annoying.
So they could have thought to themselves, you know, this is a form of traversal that our players are actually enjoying. And it's not broken in the way that flying is, right? It doesn't, you know, you can't use a glider and then go up a tower and skip everything. So how about they see that that's fun, they see the players enjoy doing that, and they think, why don't we embrace this? Why don't we make this a game mechanic? Why don't we actually try to design a really fun glider that you can use in World of Warcraft? We've had the Goblin Glider for a long time, and you know what? Maybe we could take the signal that players enjoy using the Goblin Glider and actually turn that into something that's a bit more fun. Maybe they can put little heat vents in some zones, right? So you go in your glider, you go up. And you could create some really cool gliding gameplay.
It's even made a noise for it.
And you could do something like that in a way that it could just add a nice little layer of traversal along the game. Even take the clicking on the grappling points in Stormheim.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was themed around Stormheim, and maybe you don't want it in every zone, but maybe, you know, you click on the grappling point, and this is a great example of game mechanics naturally coming together to combine to be really powerful. You could click on that. They could program it so you just, you know, you get some momentum, you use your glider, right, and then that would be really fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I guess, sure.
What I'm trying to say is, there's a lot of ways in which players will just, with the systems that they're given, they'll find things. They'll naturally gravitate towards some things that they find to be really fun. And I think Blizzard could do a far better job of actually observing those things that players do and trying to think about why they are fun, trying to understand why. And they could learn a lot from that. In this case, maybe the reason why people are doing this...
They don't understand why things are fun. As I said, this is why they do a Q&A. When was the last Q&A they ever did, by the way? Like, when was the last time that shit even happened? I'm just thinking about that. Like, when did that even happen? It must have been like 2 months ago? 3 months ago, patch 8.1? Like, listen, everybody knows the Q&As are just advertisements for the patch. Ian, can you please do another Q&A? I'm running low on content, okay? Just do another Q&A so I can watch it again. Like, the last Q&A, like, let me see. Like, I remember the Q&As. Listen, back at the beginning of BFA, right? At the beginning of BFA, the Q&As had, like, what? Fucking 40,000 viewers, 50,000 viewers, I think one of them got. The most recent Q&A, I remember this, had 13,000 viewers. That's because a lot of people just don't give a fuck anymore. They don't care anymore. It's just, and there were more people. The thing about it is that, like, ironically, I remember I had like 30,000 people, 30,000 people watching me watch the Q&A. So there were more people watching me watch the Q&A than were watching the Q&A. And I mean, this was not really the case as much in the other ones before because, you know, like, I mean, I guess maybe people might have just gotten in the habit of it. But still, it's just insane that it was that big of a difference. And I feel like, yeah, the reaction meta. Yeah, well, the reaction meta, I mean, like, people have been reacting to videos on Twitch now for over a year, right? I mean, this isn't something new that me or Greek or Trainwrecks or XQC or somebody like that thought of. No, this is just something that's been going on for quite a while now. And it's completely fine, right? I'm fine with the reacting stuff. But at the same time, it's like, that's not why there were that many more people watching, like, right on my channel. I think that, honestly, they've just lost the interest of the player base. That's the main problem. And they have to sit there in the Q&As and explain, well, the reason we did this was because players were having fun. You see, you're going to have fun whenever you do the world quests in this way. And it's more fun for you. See, we're going to tell you how to have fun because we don't know. We have no idea. Right? That's what it is. They have to tell people how to have fun.
twink level boosting so much is because they don't enjoy the leveling process of BFA. Maybe there's a design thing they could learn from that.
Yeah, maybe.
With the gliders, like maybe, sure, people are doing it because they get around the place, but they're also doing it because it's really fun. Maybe with the World Quest stuff, I mean, sure, people are primarily doing it because it's super quick, but maybe one of the nice things about it was just how many people you'd see while you were going across the world. And maybe there's a way they could better learn from that and create that fun experience just more often and more naturally through game mechanics that are not contrived, such as having to use an add-on. So
Yeah,
I think
that's
there's
true.
a lot that
I agree with that.
could learn
Yeah, my
that
hair's
they just
bad.
miss out on because of their seemingly just the DNA of their company, how they do things. And sometimes it is pretty darn frustrating to see it happen because...
Somebody said, why has Ian not been fired yet? Stop blaming everything on Ian. Like, the game was shit before Ian. Like, the thing is that everybody wants to, like, you know what I really think this is? I think that it's a collective. Like, imagine everybody's holding the ball, right? There's a really, really big ball. Everybody at Blizzard, WoW team's holding the ball, and they're all together at the same time. Oh, oops! Wow, and then they drop the ball, right? That's what happened. It wasn't just like 2 or 3 people. It's not like, oh, this guy's messing everything up. No, it's everybody, okay? Like, it's like you have the same stupid shit happen in PvP. Like, PvP, what about the arena tournaments? Like, oh, wow, I wonder, is he going to use the absorb shield? Wow, he did. Oh, did it proc? Okay, all right, well, 70% dampening. Let's just get her done, boys. And everything just takes fucking forever. And 17K, yeah, the viewership for the arena tournaments is at an all-time low. And why is that? It's because it's not fun to watch and it's not fun to play, right? I mean, because arena has never really been fun to watch. But at the beginning of BFA, there were more people that watched the arena tournaments because the player base for arena was larger, because arena was a bigger component of the game, and people enjoyed it more because you were able to get gear from arena that you could use in PvE. So it actually created more of an organic audience for arena by making all those things to be the case. And Blizzard, I don't think they don't get it. They don't get it. I really think that they should talk to some of the people that genuinely have experience in, like, I don't know, like I think that they should talk to like me or some of the other streamers and say, what should we do? Like, that it just makes sense. Like, what should we do to make these tournaments better? Because it seems to me like obviously they don't know what they're doing, right? I mean, like, maybe not me, right? You could say another streamer too, but I think they need to talk to somebody.
You're looking there and it's like, we want you to do well. We want 8.2 to be better. And being real, this doesn't really affect 8.2, right? 8.2 is still going to be a really solid patch. This is just an example of, oh God, Blizz, really? So, we're all there like, come on, we want you to do well. We are cheering for you, Blizz. And then, you look over, you're like, they just self-owned again. Could they please not? So there you go. That is in a very loose, rambly video. That's my thoughts on this change. I think it is pretty needless. I don't think it serves any particularly positive purpose. All that it does is kill a gameplay niche that people were enjoying. And frankly, in BFA, if there is a gameplay niche that people are enjoying, even if it's not perfect, how about you let them enjoy it until you release the good expansion? Right? I mean, assuming 9.0 is going to be good.
When's that going to happen? Yeah, when's that going to happen?
And, deal with it as a part of an expansion that gives people a lot of good things. Anyway, there we go. Let me know what you think down below. Very keen to hear. And we'll be back to our regularly scheduled content tomorrow.
Oh man, dude. People complaining about it, being abused to troll, don't care, and they're just complaining to have an hidden agenda, keep twinks, remove, it was good. Well, what do you mean, like, a hidden agenda? Like, I mean, yeah, I don't really care about people getting trolled with it. Why would I give a fuck about that? I don't care. I don't ever queue for dungeons, but it's still, like, a stupid thing that shouldn't happen. Right? That's my opinion. Opinion of the level squish? I think the level squish was... I don't know. Like, I would actually like to see the level squish happen, but not if there aren't, like, a lot of, like, very large changes that happen in association with that. Any publicity is good publicity, so if they can't come up with anything smart or change something that keeps people from thinking about the game, well, yeah, I think so. Hidden agenda, yeah, everything is an agenda. Maybe it's just a bad idea, right? And it's like, I'm not a fan of twinking, but I feel like whenever you have a 110 twink that is more fun than a 120 character, then you have a problem with your 120 characters. And I think the solution to that is not to make the twinks worse, but it's to make the 120s better. There's very, very clearly, obviously, something that people are getting out of the 110s that they're not getting out of the 120s. Every animal squish is a mess. Imagine how bad they'll fuck up the level squish. Oh yeah, they'll fuck it up in a bunch of different ways. But, I mean, I still think they should probably try and do it.